A lot of rain overnight, conditions a lot cooler outside. We're expecting maybe a shower or two later this morning, but today, player comfort conditions will be absolutely ideal. So welcome in Benny Biss to the commentary position for our first event of the day, the Boost Mobile Super Trucks. Quite gusty wind still outside today, mate. Good morning.
Good morning, Matty. Yeah, that's... I was about to say the flags on the Eastern Semaphore are dead set flags, so they are the absolute opposite of that as we get our first look. We're in shootout mode with Rob Cowie.
So, raced yesterday, we qualified on Friday, but with a short amount of turnaround time, the decision was made by the powers that be at the Stadium Super Truck Series and USAC that oversee how the category is run, to run a shootout this morning. Now the points from qualifying, race one, and this session will then set the grid with a full inversion. Keep up with that. So if you scored a lot of points, you'll go to the back for the final race later on this morning. And it's Rob Cowie who gets the entire 3.2 kilometre course all to himself aboard this side of NTRG entry.
Hard on the anchors, you can hear him, and this is probably going to be a great opportunity for us to just hear how much throttle control these guys use, because we don't have to share that with 7 other trucks. As he sets off and gets a green flag to start into the centre chicane, which we've noted a couple of times over the weekend. Really, it's just one turn, not a collection at all. They just go straight through, no track limits, but very much on the limits of the right rear there as he lets the truck nose over, back down the gears, 3-speed trans, and nice to the left. With a little bit of staircase, how's your aggression?
Cowie's having a bit of fun out there today. They dream of having the streets to themselves. Well, today's their opportunity. And for Cowie, his second only start in the category yesterday, after sharing the truck back in 2016 with Travis Milburn. These guys work hard behind the scenes. They run a couple of businesses together and have been passionate about seeing the Super Trucks come back to Australia. They were hatching at one point to go to America and join the series over there, but loving their time getting to run in front of their local crowds. He comes through turn 8, takes it nice and easy on a track that's been, well, it's had a bath overnight, it's had a shower, it's been cleaned up. A lot of wind, a lot of dust yesterday, a lot of leaves noted during the race yesterday afternoon. So he's really the first competition vehicle on the course of his Sunday morning and not afraid to test the limits.
Now goes into the collection of 3 left-handers back-to-back. The third of those a little bit more miles, and this is where we saw a little bit of activity over the weekend. One of those ramps has changed. So now we're coming to the final collection. One last ramp on the entry into turn 14. Saw a melee there yesterday as well. Now, nice apply of the throttle. One last ramp, slightly crossed up, and the numbers are
47.4. He's gone a second quicker than what he did on Friday. So considering he's had one start prior to this weekend, that is a mighty time for Rob Cowie as we slow it down through the centre chicane. That right front wheel just along for a ride here at the moment through the straight line. I wouldn't call it a chicane during Boost Mobile Super Trucks. This was him having some fun at the left-hander into Flinders Street. It's quite an uphill section up there, looking back towards the Adelaide CBD, making sure those Continental tyres are nice and warm, albeit a little bit flat-spotted there. So he sets the benchmark time of a 1:47.47. As Mad Max Gordon is back on the racetrack. Transmission drama with the 77 yesterday. Boost Mobile jumping on the son of a guns exploits, 2-time winner. And the son of Robbie Gordon, his first look this weekend at the Adelaide Street Circuit.
so right into Hutt Street. And then the left into turn 5. Now this is the, I guess we do see a little bit of entertainment-based racing where I'm not convinced that they'd be completely at 100%. But this time, in the shootout, they're absolutely flat out. Next ramp, you could see a little bit of that fall away that Matt was talking about as they head down Bartels Road and into the sweeper, and judging by the amount of leaves, it's got a whole new connotation, hasn't it?
They'll clear that up pretty quickly. It's amazing for a young guy that's not seen the street circuit before, how quickly he was on the pace here on Friday in qualifying. 3-time winner in the series, has a great connection with the Long Beach Street course in California. He's been a two-time winner over there. In fact, both times beating his dad home. So that rivalry starting to build in the series. Beat Gavin Harlan to the line at Mid-Ohio at the IndyCar support race in 2022. But for now, he's chasing that 147.4. It's looking good coming up to the final turn.
Slight smoke coming off the right front. But that entry and exit through turn 14 was magnificent and did not lose any momentum in the preparation. So we're going to shave something off that 147, I think. Oh, wow.
Shave. Wow. 143.6 to be nearly 4 seconds quicker. Next shot. Love that. Mounted in the second ramp on this Barry Sheen pit straight. So 143.6, nearly 4 seconds clear of Rob Cowie's time from just before. Earlier this weekend, he went 143.9, so 3/10 quicker than his qualifying time. That's exactly the screens we see. So that's what you get to hear. That's what we get to see, the Natsov timing system that shows the sectors broken down. Purple means he's gone really quick in the first and third sector of the lap here. So 2 trucks down so far. And great to have this guy back in the series. Has been a regular for a long time now. The Jan Jones Road Rage Industries, his own business. UK-born, Australian living, part-time in the States. Sean Richardson about to start his lap in this Boost Mobile Super Truck shootout.
When he gets out of the truck, he's not what you expect. He's got the dreadlocks. And then when you think, okay, with the dreadlocks, you've just got in your head a certain accent that's going to come out of the mouth, and then, okay, no, he's from Lincolnshire. It's a couple of different angles from this guy, but now based in North Brisbane, Road Rage Industries, the sort of place where you see all those beautiful muscle cars, the Camaros and the Mustangs from all the different generations, and man, he just loves it. He's raced the Trans Am style cars in America, South Africa, New Zealand, here in Australia as well. So well and truly the international campaign as it lands beautifully on the rear axle, heads down. Probably the most iconic view ever since the days, since 1999. Just tries to hug the curb as best he can. You see the way that they sit back. All 450 horsepower. Just lets it nose over and goes into the right hander.
He was braking a lot earlier than everybody else so far. Down through the turn 9 hairpin. And back into the parkland section. Just the one podium for Richardson. That was back in 2016. When he finished behind Sheldon Green and Matt Brabham. You take that on any given day. The Powers back in behind the pit paddock area to finish his lap. And that 143.6 is the time to beat by Max Gordon. Richardson went 146.5 in qualifying here on Friday. The Road Rage Industries number 4 to the finish line. Up as it lands down on the pit straight. The line, second place, 46.95. So he keeps around the time he set on Friday, 4/10 away. Here it is on the replay. Across the single ramp, beautiful landing. And that drops him into second from Max Gordon, who's at the top by still 3.3 seconds. Some big names still to come.
Great insight on just how much travel there is in that suspension. As we take a look at that last little run to the checkered flag. The guy who changed the name of his business as a result of going to one of those Richard Branson meetings, you know, where all the businessmen get together. And he sat there and Richard Branson was telling him how much they needed to, you know, get that aggressive sort of name.
He's got one. Oh, dragging the brake up to the top of Wakefield Street. Rob White, former national drifting champion, raced with us at the drift event, Gold Coast 500 race just a few weeks ago. Hasn't raced properly since 2021 with us, and a couple of starts prior to that at the non-series round at Sydney Olympic Park back in 2015. And again, dragging that right front. It's going to be mighty warm by the time he gets to the end of this lap. First sector's not too bad, 35.5. And from here, it's downhill with the sun still rising over the Adelaide hills. Daunting approach, isn't it? Just a funnel into this turn 8. Lifts, takes it nice and easy through here. still 180 Ks on the approach into the sweeper for one of these Boost Mobile Super Trucks. 2,900 pounds, or about 1,300 kilos. Just powering his way, feathering the throttle up through turn 11, back under the Velo Bridge, and towards the end of this lap.
It's quite the entertainer, isn't he? I hope he knows that this is actually about the clock and he's not getting scored like he would normally in drift championships. Oh, big lock-up. Just tries to straighten up the car. And then reefs hard to the right for that last entry. Ready to stop the clocks once again. Textbook landing for Rob White.
Oh, second position. So it didn't look fast, but it was. And a 45.4 for Rob White puts him into second place now, behind Max Gordon and ahead of Sean Richardson and Rob Cowie, of the four that have contested this shootout so far.
Big lock-up. And the hardcore backed entry. Interesting things, obviously, we talk about slicks in circuit racing. And it's those slow-mo shots that just give you that little bit of an insight as to how much tread isn't on the racetrack. Hence the reason there's so much sliding going on.
The all-terrain tyres. Shay Davies, what a story it's been. Race winner on debut here in 2020. Returned here on Thursday. Right there is where he had a frightening roll. A lot of damage to his Codefish Studio entry. The 88 was repaired overnight. It went into battle yesterday. And for some reason, it just clicks for Davies driving these Boost Mobile Super Trucks. He's your fifth driver in this shootout, with a second and final race to come up later today.
The Gold Coaster, who by his own admission had a lot of soul searching to do as a result of that melee that happened on the first day. And it just, I think it really took him by surprise. And that's when you see the mettle of a race driver as to whether they can bounce back. You know, you and I have talked a lot about this and the mind games, the mental switch that has to happen to come back from something that was, for all intents and purposes, a pretty violent wreck. And he's bounced back brilliantly and showing some really, really good speed here at the moment.
Through the right-hander and down towards turn 9. What we've talked about, Shay Davies' incident Thursday. We'll also say mention and a shout out to Matt Minga, who had a big crash during that first qualifying session of the weekend. That truck was withdrawn after that event. Matty, no doubt, keeping an eye on what's happening here today. Through the left-hander, downhill section, underneath the bridge. In the day, it used to be a horse racing track crossing across there. And now up to the final turn. Green box, the first sector, and one turn remaining for Shay Davies from the Gold Coast, former V8 Touring Car champion back in 2013. To the wrap, and now down towards the checkered flag. Time to beat is a 43.62. Where's he drop? Into second with a 45.2. So it's getting a bit busy now in second and third place. Gordon, Davies, White, Richardson, and Rob Cowie, the top 5.
That was impressive. Just see the way that he's picking up the left front there. Sporting the Codefish Studios, a local studio here from Theberton. Here's what happened. Just the other day, keep your eyes on the car. The truck second.
Not even 5 minutes into the session, it was a landing on the nose. It was the barrel roll, then it got up in the air and came down on its nose once again. One of our many talented cameramen capturing this incident from the pit wall. This is from the underbelly of the 88. Meantime, 5 shots showing the 3-time champion and a famous surname in this part of the world. It's Matt Brabham in the VP Racing Fuels entry. The 83 that his famous dad drove for many years in the States, whether it was in IMSA competition or the Indy 500 Super Touring days back in Australia. And Matty's been an absolute force in this series for well over a decade now. 3-time champion, approaching 30 race wins, as close as you like to the wall. This is a fast lap coming.
If anyone's going to give that top notch a nudge, it's going to be Matt Brabham. Man, he's jam-packed so much into what seems like such a short career so far. So much more ahead of him. But But I applaud the fact that he's willing to try anything as well. You know, he's everything from IndyCar to this. I mean, that is pretty much the spectrum right there, right?
Turned 30 earlier this year. Just grabbing the fun lever, or the handbrakes it likes to be known as, down at turn 9 and back into at Wakefield Road, now into the permanent section of the course. The Roadmaster champion for Andretti Autosport back in 2013. He's the US F2000 national champ the year before for Wayne Taylor's team. And up towards the final turn. Across the final ramp he goes, lands back down on 4 wheels. So remember yesterday, he tried to make this move for the lead and found himself facing the pit wall on the exit. This looks good. Clears the final ramp to the line to beat the 43.6 and goes 41.777. 141.777 for Matt Brabham aboard the VP Racing Fuels entry.
I didn't think it would be that quick. I knew it was going to be quick, but man, that's super impressive.
Quickest lap of the weekend, Bish.
Yeah, it is, yeah. So the VP Racing Fuels entry, it's interesting because I thought he would have cooked a lot of time at that point because it was less than satisfactory into that right-hander. But yeah, you see the way that he had to correct there as well. So that's interesting, sets the tone as we have 2 more to go. One of them, a local here in South Australia. Travis Milburn was very impressive yesterday in the first race where he was fighting, managed to hold on to second spot. He come in with a head full of confidence now. He negotiates the centre chicane, keeps it as straight as possible, and now heads off with a shimmer. Just showing early morning heat here in Adelaide. It was a hot one yesterday, much, much cooler today. Still doesn't change the fact that they'll be sweating pretty hard, even with one hot lap. A little bit of an insight into the shimmer across the tarmac here shortly. Nice lock-up.
Surprisingly, Milburn has been good in these shootouts over the years. He topped it in Perth in 2018. He was 3rd overall in 2018 here at Adelaide behind Toby Price and Robbie Gordon. So the South Australia doesn't do this on a regular basis. Seems to work well with his TRG Transport 25. Through the turn 8 sweeper. Just under 180 Ks for him on the way to the fast right-hander. Using as much of the racetrack as possible. Still quite dusty offline. He's now back into turn 9. This little kink downhill. Up onto the curb, and that's okay. Spectacular. If anything, under the bridge he goes. 41.7 is a 1.8 second advantage to Brabham, Max Gordon, Shay Davies, Rob White, Sean Richardson, and his good buddy Rob Cowie. He lands after the final ramp and into the final turn. Here comes Trav Milburn to the finish line.
You can tell by the body language, man, he is absolutely having a crack. So will they be the numbers that he's expecting? 143.92, 143.92. 1.8 seconds the difference. We'll slot him into 3rd, but man, that's probably more air than anybody else that we've seen through that part of the racetrack.
Inside 2 wheels up across that curb, which were flattened down many years ago when the Formula 1 days were still on, and they still managed some fairly nice air time through there. And that's good for Milburn, 3rd position. And that's the order with 1 more to come. And it will be fast. The 7, the Speed Energy number 7 of Robbie Gordon, the final contestant in this Boost Mobile Super Truck Shootout. An inversion for the grid later on this morning based on the points from qualifying in race 1 and this session. And now the 2-time Stadium Super Truck Series champion goes after Matt Brabham's time of 141.777. Up to Wakefield Street he goes.
Yeah, it's got some attitude on it. And this is where Robbie, who owns this series, has to make the decision. Do I just take it a little bit easy and make sure it's tight, or do I really just give these guys a clinic on how to get around this racetrack? And I think he's in clinic mode, just judging by the attitude of that truck at the moment.
Not messing about.
He's not.
He's driven absolutely everything in world motorsport over the years. NASCAR, IndyCar. He's been a Baja winner on 3 occasions. He's raced at Dakar. A winner at the Daytona 24-hour event. And he's run this series since 2013. most experienced guy in the field. A little bit away from Matt Brabham's first time, nearly half a second. But well up in the speed department, over 180 Ks on the way to turn 8. Based off the Traxxas RC trucks from many years ago. Instead of building a replica, they built this out of a replica RC car.
Yeah, and when you say RC, you mean remote control. I think people are second guessing what you're saying there, but no, you genuinely mean remote control. Which is crazy because they are such cool remote control trucks.
Another hit, that's for sure. Up to the final turn, so Gordon committed as always. But that 141.777 for Matt Brabham was a super lap. Wonder if Gordon will drop in between he and Max Gordon. To the line he goes. At second place by 1.2 seconds. So the two usuals at the top at the end of this shootout. Brabham 141.777, the quickest of the weekend in Boost Mobile Super Trucks.
You've got to ask, how did Matty Brabham squeeze that much out of it? 1.2 over the guy who owns the series is actually quite staggering. We get a little bit of an insight there as to just how hard he tried.
It's a mega lap, and that puts him into second at the end, and we'll see him start from the rear of the field. That's the shootout done for Boost Mobile Super Trucks. One race to come up later on today as we build up. Grand final day, Repco Supercars.